Welcome to Chrono Tales, where forgotten legends refuse to stay silent. I'm your host, and tonight we journey to a small town in rural Pennsylvania, where a creek runs cold and deep, and where something has been waiting in the water for over 60 years. This is the tale of the Phantom of Miller's Creek. Some places remember tragedy. Some places hold on to it, letting it seep into the soil and rocks until the very land itself becomes haunted. Miller's Creek is one of those places. In the summer of 1963, a young man named Thomas Miller drowned in the creek that would eventually bear his name. He was 22 years old, newly engaged, with his whole life ahead of him. But on a hot August night, after celebrating with friends at the local tavern, Thomas decided to take a shortcut home through the woods. The path led to an old wooden bridge that crossed the creek at its deepest point. The bridge was rickety even then, with several planks missing and warning signs posted at both ends. But Thomas was confident, perhaps too confident. Witnesses say they heard the crack of splintering wood, followed by a splash and then silence. By the time help arrived, Thomas had vanished beneath the dark water. His body was never recovered. That might have been the end of the story, except for what happened 3 nights later. A local farmer crossing the same bridge reported seeing a figure standing in the middle of the creek, water up to its chest, staring up at him with hollow, pleading eyes.
Help me! I can't find my way out.
The farmer ran, and when he returned with others, the figure was gone. But from that night forward, people began reporting strange encounters near Miller's Creek. Some heard splashing when no one was there. Others saw wet footprints leading from the water to the old bridge, then vanishing halfway across. And on certain nights, when the moon is full and the water runs high, they say you can still hear Thomas Miller calling for help from beneath the surface.
Help me!
Fast forward to October 2023. Sarah Chen, a documentary filmmaker from Philadelphia, arrived in the town of Millersport to investigate local legends for her podcast series. She had heard about the Phantom of Miller's Creek and was determined to separate fact from fiction.
October 15th, 7:30 p.m. I'm standing at the entrance to Miller's Creek Trail. The old bridge is about half a mile into the woods. Local historians say the drowning happened near the bridge's center point, where the creek is roughly 12 feet deep.
Sarah walked the trail alone, her camera and audio equipment in a backpack, her phone flashlight cutting through the gathering darkness. The autumn air was cool, and mist was rising from the creek, creating an eerie atmosphere that would have been perfect for her documentary. When she reached the bridge, Sarah set up her equipment and began recording. The bridge had been rebuilt several times since 1963, but locals insisted on keeping it in the same location, as if moving it would somehow disturb Thomas Miller's resting place.
The interesting thing about ghost stories is that they often reflect collective trauma. A young man dies tragically, and the community processes that grief by keeping his memory alive through supernatural tales.
Sarah stopped mid-sentence. Something had disturbed the water directly beneath the bridge. She leaned over the railing and pointed her flashlight down. The creek was dark, stained brown by fallen leaves and sediment. Sarah's flashlight beam penetrated only a few feet below the surface. But in that murky water, she could see something moving. Something that wasn't quite swimming, but rather standing.
Oh my God.
A figure stood in the water, completely submerged except for the top of its head and its eyes. Eyes that stared up at Sarah with an expression of desperate hope. Sarah stumbled backward, nearly dropping her flashlight. When she looked again, the figure had moved closer to the surface. She could now make out more details. A young man's face, pale and bloated, with dark hair that floated around his head like seaweed.
Please help me up.
Two pale hands emerged from the water and grasped the lowest beam of the bridge. The wood groaned under sudden weight as the figure began pulling itself upward.
This isn't real. This isn't happening.
I've been down here so long, so cold. Please help me out.
Sarah watched in horror as the figure, Thomas Miller, or whatever he had become, climbed from the water onto the bridge's support beams. Water streamed from his clothes that looked like they were from the 1960s, now rotted and covered in algae. But something stopped the figure from climbing all the way onto the bridge. It clung to the support beam just below the surface level, as if an invisible barrier prevented it from rising any higher.
I can't reach the top. I never can. Every night I try, but I can't remember how to get out of the water.
Thomas, is that your name? Thomas Miller?
Yes, that's me. Do you know me? Can you help me get home? I need to get home. Mary's waiting for me.
Mary had been Thomas's fiancée. According to local records, she had waited for him for 3 years before finally accepting that he was gone. She had married someone else in 1967 and moved away from Millersport. She had passed away in 2015.
Thomas, I need you to listen to me. You drowned here 60 years ago. Mary lived a full life. She's gone now, too.
60 years? No, that's not right. I just fell in tonight. I remember the wood breaking, the cold water, and then I couldn't find which way was up.
Sarah realized with a chill that Thomas Miller had been replaying the same night over and over, trapped in a loop of confusion and desperate seeking. He didn't remember drowning. He only remembered falling. Rain began to fall, pattering on the bridge and stirring the creek below. Sarah made a decision. She knelt at the edge of the bridge and looked down at Thomas Miller's phantom.
Thomas, listen to me carefully. You need to stop trying to climb up. The way out isn't up, it's forward. You need to let the current take you.
But I'll drown if I let go.
You already drowned, Thomas. I'm sorry, but you did. On August 11th, 1963, you've been holding onto this bridge for 60 years. Because you're afraid of what happens if you let go.
For a long moment, the figure was silent. Then slowly, it looked down at its hands gripping the wooden beam. In the rain and darkness, Sarah could see the moment realization dawned on the phantom's face.
I'm already dead.
Yes, but you don't have to stay here. You can let go now.
Will it hurt?
I don't think so. Oh, I think it'll feel like finally surfacing after being underwater for too long.
Thomas Miller looked up at Sarah one last time. His expression was no longer desperate or confused. It was peaceful, accepting.
Tell Mary. Tell her I'm sorry I missed our wedding.
I think she already knows, and I think she's waiting for you wherever you're going.
Thomas let go of the bridge. His form slipped beneath the surface of the creek, and this time, he didn't try to fight the current. Sarah watched as a faint, glowing shape drifted downstream, growing brighter as it went, until it finally faded into the rainy darkness. Sarah sat on the bridge for another hour, rain soaking through her jacket, making sure Thomas didn't return. But the creek remained still except for the rain, and the only sounds were the natural sounds of the forest at night. Sarah's documentary about Miller's Creek aired 3 months later. It included the audio and video footage from that night, though skeptics claimed it was staged. But the people of Millersport knew the truth. Since that October night, no one has reported seeing or hearing the phantom of Miller's Creek. The bridge stands quiet now, just an old wooden structure over a peaceful stream. The locals say Thomas Miller finally found his way home. Sometimes on clear nights, people walking the trail report feeling a sense of peace near the bridge, as if something that was wrong has finally been made right. And if you listen carefully to the water, some say you can hear a faint voice carried on the current, not calling for help anymore, but simply saying thank you. And that concludes tonight's tale from Chrono Tales. Remember, not all ghosts are trapped by chains or curses. Sometimes they're simply lost, waiting for someone to show them the way forward. Thank you for listening. Until next time, if you find yourself near dark water at night, listen carefully. Someone might need your help to finally let go.